Welcome back. Today we're checking out a huge collection of 50 Jurassic World dinosaurs from Jurassic World Dominion, Camp Cretaceous, and a lot more. Let's start with the biggest figure in this entire bin. This is the Apatosaurus figure. This figure is ginormous. It's very similar to a Brachiosaurus. It's got the long neck, but it has a totally different face and a much stockier body, I think. But the figure itself, it's pretty cool because you can move all the legs, you can swivel the tail back and forth, you can move the neck back and forth too, and there's a surprising amount of detail on its face. You can even open and close its mouth too. This thing is ginormous. Next up, I believe released as part of the first Jurassic World movie, is this hybrid Indominus Rex figure. It's got the bright red coloring, it's got some special features, can pop out those spines, its jaw opens and closes, and as you can hear, there's tons of sound effects too. Way over here from Jurassic World Dominion, we've got an extreme battle damaged Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is darker than a lot of the T-Rex figures that I have, and of course, it's got the battle damaged slashes right on its side that you can open and close to hide completely or to show. That's really cool. Here is another giant T-Rex figure. This one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't quite remember. But this one is a dark green coloring, which I love. It's got some black striping along the top, and it's got the action button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Over here, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This figure has tons of spikes running down all the way down its spine to its tail. It's got a dark gray body with some red right underneath its neck and chin, and it's got some action features as well. It can open and close the jaw and move the neck. This, I believe, is the Parasaurolophus figure. It's got some really cool pink reflective coloring, which is a pretty special feature. You can move all of its limbs, and you can use its tail to move its head up and down, and in all directions. Over here, we've got another Parasaurolophus figure, but I think that this one is from the Amber collection or the Hammond collection. I actually can't remember. But it's got some pretty cool coloring and striping along its body. This figure is very poseable. You can even bend at the elbows and at the knees and at the ankles, which you can't do with a lot of Jurassic World figures, so that's pretty cool. Next up is the purple, orange, and blue Sarcosuchus figure. This dinosaur spends a lot of its time in the water. It looks a bit like an alligator actually, and it's got some awesome spikes running along its back, and it has some action features that you can use the tail to move the head around and open and close the ginormous jaw. Here we've got an Ankylosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It comes with sound effects as you can hear, and when you press down on its back, it actually swings its tail back and forth. This is the new Triceratops figure from the Hammond collection. It's got a whole lot more detailing along its skin, which is pretty cool. The coloring is a little bit varied along its body, but the best part is that there are many points of articulation. You can move all of its limbs in all sorts of directions, and I love the detailing on the face too. It's really cool. Here is the Sound Surge Carnotaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the all red body, and of course, the sound effects. Next up is the basic Spinosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with the red spine. You can move the legs and arms and tail, but you can't open and close the jaw on this figure. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Scorpius Rex figure. This one is a bit smaller than the other Scorpius Rex figure that I have. It's got a green body with some black detailing along the top, and you can move all of its limbs as well, even open and close the jaw. Here is a T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie, and this one was actually custom painted, so you won't see this one much around, but it's got the red body with the black stripes and spots, and the yellow eyes, and an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right here, we've got the Seats Microrarum figure. This is a pretty unique figure. I love how the teeth fit into the jaw perfectly. See that big tooth right there and how it fits in perfect? That is super cool. Plus, it's got tons of spikes along its neck and its back, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaw too. Way in the back here, we've got the Carcharodontosaurus figure in the tan, brown, and orange coloring. It's got some little spikes running up its head all the way to its tail, and it's got an action button on its back to activate the chomping action. Here is the Yangchuanosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. So this is a newer figure. It's got the green body with brown detailing, and you can actually move its whole body quite a bit. You can move its torso up and down, and you can use the tail to control the head too. Right here from the first Jurassic World movie is the miniature Mosasaurus figure with battle damage on the side. That is really cool. I have quite a few giant Mosasaurus figures, but this one is still really cool and decently detailed as well. Watch out, we've got another Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This one also has the battle damage on both sides of its body that you can turn on and off. Plus, the rest of its body is very posable as well. Next up is the Cryolophosaurus figure. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't remember. But anyways, you can move the tail to move the head up and down, and you can move all the limbs and open and close the jaw too. Here's a couple more figures from the first Jurassic World movie. So these figures are pretty old. These are both miniature Spinosaurus figures. They both have the battle damage on the side. This one is more wildly colored, and this one's a bit more realistic. Next up, I've got a giant Dilophosaurus figure in the red coloring with these super bright frills and crown in the front. That is really cool. Here is a Pachycephalosaurus figure with the green and brown coloring and the battle damage that you can open and close on the side. This figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. It is the Rajasaurus with the dark blue coloring and the white on its neck and chin as well. Plus, it's got some spikes right along the top of its neck. And with this figure, when you press down on its back, it has a chomping action. This is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail around, and it has some pretty cool coloring and detailing along its body. Looks like I've got another Cryolophosaurus figure in here. This one is bright yellow with brown and orange detailing along its head, and just like the other figure, you can open and close the mouth, and you can use the tail to swing the neck around. Oh, look at this. I've actually got another Rajasaurus figure too, also with different coloring. This one is light brown with the dark blue coloring along its back and neck. And just like the other Rajasaurus, you can press down on its back for the chomping action. This is the Albertosaurus figurine with battle damage on its side. Check it out. You can see its stomach, then you can even close the ribs, and then you can even close the skin to hide it all. That is really cool. Plus, it's got some battle damage on its leg as well, and the rest of its body is pretty adjustable too. So this is a pretty awesome figure. This, I believe, is a Sinoceratops from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got a bright yellow tail with a green body, and its eyes are all black, which is really cool. With this figure, you can press down on its body for the roaring action. Next up, I've actually got some brand new figures that we're gonna open up on camera here. The first is this Funko Pop Giganotosaurus figure. So this Giganotosaurus figure comes on a clear stand. It's got some interesting coloring. It's a lot different than the Mattel Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the light gray coloring on the underside, this gray-blue coloring all along the top, so it's not very green like many of the other figures. And it's got these huge yellow eyes without pupils, which is interesting. Plus, you can see a little bit of battle damage, some slashes and scrapes here and there, all along its body too. And we've also got the Dino Rivals Dual Attack Triceratops. This Triceratops is a light gray color. It's got some darker detailing along the top. And as the name says, it has two action buttons. The first is for the horn slashing or roaring action. And there's a second button for the tail whipping too. Whips its tail back and forth. It's pretty cool. Here we've got a similar dinosaur. This one, I believe, is a Sinoceratops. It's got the green and tan coloring with the tan underbelly and a little bit of orange on its frill in the front too. And this figure has one action button on its back to activate moving the head up and down. Next up, we've got a smaller figure. I actually don't remember the species of this dinosaur, so let me know down in the comments if you recognize what type of dinosaur this is. It's got an action button on its back to move its head back and forth. I've also got a few mini figures right here, both with different coloring. This first one is a greenish color. It's got some interesting detailing along its body, and the other one is red with white spikes, which is really cool. I think this one is definitely my more favorite one. Next up is the Zuniceratops figure. Pretty similar to a Triceratops. It's got those two horns in the front, but it does not have the third horn, and it's got some different coloring as well. Over here, we've got a baby T-Rex figure. It's got the light green body with some darker green detailing, and it's got an action that you can use to open and close its jaw. This is a Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's a lot smaller than most of the Carnotaurus figures, but it's got some pretty cool coloring, very different from the other Carnotaurus figures, and it's still quite posable as well. Here's an interesting looking dinosaur. I believe this one is a Spinosaurus or something like that. I can't quite remember, but the most interesting part is it's got spikes, little spikes on its shoulders and huge spikes on its tail. That's pretty cool. Right over here, I've got a battle damage Coeluris figure that you can actually turn the battle damage on and off, just like the giant T-Rexes that we saw earlier. That's pretty cool. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus figure in the light green and dark green coloring, and it is pretty adjustable as well. You can move the neck, the legs, and the mouth as well. Right over here, this, I believe, is a Stygimoloch figure, and it has an action that when you move the tail, it has the headbutting action. I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here as well. This first one is the spring-loaded version, so you can actually have it jump into the air because its legs are spring-loaded. I've also got one, I believe, from the Amber collection, so it's a lot more detailed and a lot more articulate with its limbs, so you can move its arms and its legs quite a bit more. And I've also got this third Velociraptor figure with some pretty cool blue coloring. It's pretty unique with its coloring, and it's got an action button on its back to move its claws up and down. These next figures are Herrerasaurus dinosaurs. They both look pretty identical except from the coloring. This one is a light blue-gray coloring, and this one is green with brown on the top, and this one actually has battle damage that you can open and close on the side. And for the final figures, we've got Dr. Ian Malcolm, and we've got a Dracorex figure with all these spikes on its head. Plus, you can move its neck up and down, and its arms and legs as well.
Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today I'm going to show you 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figures, so let's dig in.
Let's start with this bin on the right. The very first one is a battle damage T-Rex with the orange body and the brown top. This T-Rex is dark green in color. It's got some black detailing along its back, and it's got the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This is the Yangchuanosaurus from the Dominion series. It's got the green body with brown detailing and the orange crown on the top of its head. Here we've got another T-Rex with the soft brown body and the darker brown along the top, and of course the button on the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This Dominion figure is a Siamosaurus. It's got a dark body with the red spine and the red head. Up next, we've got a T-Rex figure, but this is actually a hybrid T-Rex. You can tell because it has spines that pop out of its back by pressing this button, and the jaw opens and closes as well. Here is another T-Rex figure, but this is a gray-brown T-Rex. It's got some darker brown along the top. It's very adjustable, and you can open and close the mouth too. Way back here is a camouflage T-Rex. It's got some sound effects too. You can open and close the mouth, and you can do a chomping effect too. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got some short legs, but it's got the blue body with purple and orange detailing on the top. This super bright dinosaur is another T-Rex. It is custom colored, so it is a bright red. It's got some orange and black as well. Over here is a Scorpius Rex that I'm sure you recognize from the Jurassic World movie. It has 2 action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Next up, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This is gray and a darker gray. It's got those huge spikes along its spine, and it's got the red chin and neck too. This is a Siatsmicrorerum. It's got the orange body with the blue detailing on its back and head, and it's got some gray detailing along the back of its body. Back here is a Carcharodontosaurus with the blue body and the brown and orange detailing along its back, all the way up to around its eyes. Here is a Rajasaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a dark body with some lighter coloring along its neck, and it has an action button for chomping. Next up, we've got an old Indominus Rex figure. This one is smaller. It's got some battle damage on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth. Here is a super bright dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a bright yellow body with the brown detailing along its spine, and it has 2 action buttons. One for the jaws, and one to swing the tail. Here is another bright dinosaur. This is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the bright red body with some brown detailing on its back and some orange on its head. Here's another Metriacanthus figure. This has a yellow body with some green coloring along the top, and it has the action button on its back for the jaw. This is a super cool looking Allosaurus figure. It's got the gray body with the yellow detailing all over. It's got some awesome looking red right above its eyes, and it's got an action button for the jaw. Right over here is the Majingasaurus with a green, yellow, and blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. Here is a Cryolophosaurus figure. This has a bright yellow body with brown detailing and orange along the top of its body. Here's another small Indominus Rex figure. This has battle damage on the side that you can't open or close, but you can still use the tail to open and close the mouth. Next up is the Irritator. This has a brown, blue, and light blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. I've got a Baryonyx figure here with a brown, blue, and orange coloring on its body, and it's got an action button on its back for the jaw. Next up is another Allosaurus figure. This one has a brown and blue body, and it has a slide lever action to control the jaw. This Jurassic World figure is a Baryonyx. It's got the gray, white, and blue detailing on its body, and it has the slide lever action to control the jaw too. Next up, I've got the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. This figure is a light tan color. It's got some bright orange running all the way down its back, and of course, it's got the iconic horn at the top of its head. Here is another Hammond Collection figure. This is the Baryonyx. It is super adjustable and posable, and it's got some pretty cool detailing all along its body. This is a basic Spinosaurus figure. It's got the dark green body with some white detailing, and of course the red along its spine and all around its eyes. Here is the Ceratosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with black detailing on the top and the slide lever action to control the jaw. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure, but this one is in the brown and orange coloring, and it's got a button at the top of its back to control the jaw. Next up, we've got the Extreme Chompin' Carnotaurus. This is a little figure, but it has a huge head, and it has a button to control the eyes, and a button for chomping too. This figure is from the Amber Collection. I believe this one is Velociraptor Tiger. As you can tell, it's got the stripes all over its body with the orange, making it a pretty bright dinosaur. I've got a few Dimetrodon figures in here too. This first one is a light blue with a red spine. I've also got this green Dimetrodon with an even brighter red spine. Here is a small Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color with darker detailing, and this other figure is a brown Monolophosaurus with gray detailing on its body. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus in the light green color. Got a couple horned small dinosaurs here. This first one is the Zuniceratops. It's got some bright coloring on the side of its body. And this one is the battle damaged Triceratops. I've got a few small Dilophosaurus figures in here as well. This first one is brown, blue, and white, especially on the front. And this other one is a soft green, and it's got some orange, red, and yellow on its body. This is the battle damaged Coelurus figure. You can see that you can press this button on its back to activate the battle damage on the side. Let's see what else I got. I've got another Monolophosaurus figure. This one is a bright green color. It's got some red on the front. And this is a Herrerasaurus. It is a gray-blue color with the white detailing along the top of its body. Of course, I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here in this first bin. This first one is a green color. It has a button on its back to activate the arms. And this second Velociraptor figure has its legs spring-loaded, so you can actually launch it into the air. And the last one's in this first bin. We still have one more bin to go. I've got a handful of herbivore figures. This first figure is a Minmi in the green coloring. I've also got a Sauropelta in the red and gray coloring with the huge spikes. Here is Ankylosaurus Bumpy from Camp Cretaceous. And can you guess the name of this herbivore dinosaur? Let me know down in the comments below. Now it's time for this second bin that will complete my 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figure haul. And I've actually got some brand new ones that we're gonna open up before we get into the bin. This first one is the Proceratosaurus figure. Alright, so this figure is mostly red. It's got some yellow detailing along the top of its back and neck. And it's got some lime green eyes too. It's pretty cool. Next up is the Jurassic World Velociraptor figure. This Velociraptor is orange in color. It's got some brown detailing along the top, and it's got those bright yellow eyes. Next up is the Jurassic World Atrociraptor figure. This Atrociraptor figure is the white and brown one that I'm sure you recognize from the movie, and it's got those evil-looking red eyes. And next up, we've got the Jurassic World Pyroraptor. I'm sure you recognize this figure from the Jurassic World Dominion movie as well. It's got a black and red body, and it's got those yellow-orange eyes too. Here we've got the small Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. It still has the green coloring with the black detailing along the top, and it comes with some sound effects. Here is another Giganotosaurus figure, but a whole lot larger. Still has the same coloring with a bit more detail with the black, I think. And it's got two actions. The first is for swinging the torso back and forth. And the second is for the jaws. This is a Spinosaurus figure that is dark green in color, just like the one we saw earlier, and it has the red detailing along its spine and all over its head too. Next up, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It is tan in color and it has a button on its back to activate the jaw. Here we've got another Carcharodontosaurus figure. We saw one earlier that had totally different coloring. This one is tan in color and it's got brown and orange detailing all along its back up to its head. This is a giant Indominus Rex figure with extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off by pressing a button. I've got another Indominus Rex figure here. This one does not have the battle damage on the side, but instead the button activates the claws for slashing. Here's one of my coolest Spinosaurus figures. It has the most intricate detailing and coloring out of all of my Spinosaurus figures. It's got some blue on the spine, its eyes are a bright green color, and of course it's got the button at the top of its head for opening and closing the jaw. Here's another sarcophagus figure. This one is green on the sides and belly and clay red along the top. Next up is an Allosaurus figure. This one is dark green with white and red detailing along its back and neck. And it's got the slide lever action to activate the jaw and sound effects. This is the Endoraptor. This figure actually has two actions. The first is on its tail. When you press that, it swings its arms shut. It's also got a button on the bottom of its tail to activate the jaw. And you can use the tail to swing the torso around too. This is a Megaraptor figure from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got some huge claws in the front and it's got a red and blue body. Down here we've got a Stegosaurus figure that is gray-blue and it has some darker detailing along the top. And it has an action button to activate the tail for swinging back and forth. Here is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail. Back here is the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a bright clay red body with the brown detailing on top, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaws too. I believe this dinosaur is called an Amargosaurus. It's got the brown body with black detailing and the red all along its neck down to its tail too. And it's got two action buttons, one to activate the neck and one to activate the tail. This is a big Velociraptor blue figure. You can see the iconic blue all the way down its back and of course the yellow eyes too. Here we've got another Allosaurus figure. This one is tan, dark blue, and bright blue, and it has two action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Here is a large Dilophosaurus figure. It has a battle damage button on the side, and it's got some super bright colors all over. It's got green, yellow, orange, and it's got some brown detailing all along its body too. If I remember correctly, this is an Iguanodon figure. It's got some detailing of tan and darker brown along the top, and it has an action button that moves its head up and down. This is a hybrid Triceratops Stegosaurus. It's got some battle damage on the side, and its entire body is super bright. It's got blue, it's got dark blue, and it's got a bunch of gold all over its body too. This is a Suchomimus in the dark blue color with the yellow detailing along its spine. And it's got one action button to activate the jaw. I've got another large Velociraptor figure in here. This one is the orange color, and this actually might be the same one that I opened up earlier on. It's got the brown detailing on the top and the yellow eyes too. This figure, I believe, is the Proceratosaurus. It's got a tan body with gray detailing and the red nose and orange eyes. Here we've got another Stegosaurus figure. This one is in a light blue-green color. It's got darker detailing along the top, and of course it's got the action button for swinging the tail back and forth. This is a Triceratops figure. It's got the clay red coloring with the brown detailing, and it's got an action button on its back to move the head up and down. This is a small Spinosaurus figure, and it is super brightly colored with the blue and red along its spine. It's also got some battle damage, and you can use the tail to move the head around too. I've got two small T-Rex figures in here. This first one though is actually a hybrid T-Rex, a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus, and it's got this super bright orange and gold all over its body. And this second smaller T-Rex figure is green with the battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to control the mouth just like the other one. Our second to last dinosaur is a hybrid Stegosaurus Triceratops. This one is brown in color, it's got some yellow detailing on its legs, and it's got the battle damage on the side. And our final dinosaur of the 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figures is the Nasutoceratops. With the dark blue body, it's got the green legs and the red detailing along the top.
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we're checking out not just one, but two bins of Jurassic World figures. There are 100 Jurassic World figures in here.
Let's get started with this bin on the right. First up is this hybrid Indominus Rex figure. Even got sound effects too. Plus, there's spikes that come out on its back too. This is an extreme battle damage orange Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's got the battle damage all over its body, and there's an action at the top of its head to activate the jaw. Next up is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This T-Rex has a button on its back for the jaws, and you can use the tail for a stomping action. Here's another Indominus Rex figure. This one has a rubber neck while the rest of its body is a hard plastic, and you can use the arms to open and close the jaws. Over here, we've got a Terran T-Rex. This T-Rex is pretty cool because it has a button that activates the tearing action with its mouth. Look at that. That's pretty intense. And there's another button on its back to activate the tail. Over here, we've got a really cool Spinosaurus figure. This figure is pretty big, and it's got some awesome coloring and detailing all over its body. And like many of the other large figures, it has a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. This, I believe, is called the Ciats Microrarum. It's got an orange and blue body with some gray detailing as well. It's got tons of spikes on its head, and you can use the tail to control the mouth and the neck. This is an orange Velociraptor. It's a pretty basic figure, so you can only move the arms, the legs, and the tail, but it's pretty large and still pretty cool. Here is a huge Allosaurus figure. This has the classic coloring for many of the Allosaurus figures, and best of all, it's got battle damage right on the side that you can open and close. This is a T-Rex figure, but with some cool coloring. It's got the red and the black spots all over its body, and the light underbelly as well. Plus, it's got an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Here's a similar T-Rex of the same size, but with totally different coloring, and actually, this one is a hybrid T-Rex because it has spines that pop out of its back, just like that. Next up is a Carcharodontosaurus figure. This figure is medium sized and it has one action button on its back to activate the chomping action. This is an Albertosaurus figure. It's got the dark green body with orange detailing, and you can use the tail to control the head and jaw on this figure. Here is a medium-sized Velociraptor figure. It's a lot bigger than many of the Velociraptor figures that I have, and I actually have a few other that are very similar to it as well. Check these out. They're all around the same size and have many of the same features. This one is a light tan with green stripes. This one's darker colored, and this one actually has some battle damage on its side that you can press. I believe this dinosaur is a Pachycephalosaurus. It's got a dark purple coloring with some detailing along the top and an action button with its tail for the headbutting. Next up, we've got a smaller Indominus Rex figure with battle damage on the side that you can open and close. That's pretty cool. Plus, you can use the tail to control the head on this figure too. Next up, I believe this is the Nasutoceratops figure. It's got the dark blue body with some different coloring all throughout. It's got those huge horns in the front and two action buttons. One to lift up its head and one to swing its tail. This is a huge Pteranodon figure. It's pretty basic because it can't do a whole lot, but it has some pretty cool coloring on the wings. You can move the wings up and down, as well as open and close the mouth. I've got another winged dinosaur here, but I'm actually not sure what type of dinosaur this is, so let me know in the comments below. This big dinosaur, I believe, is called an Amargosaurus. It's got two huge ridges on its neck that go all the way down its back to its tail, and it has two action buttons, one to operate the neck and one to operate the tail. Here's another huge Velociraptor figure. This one is actually Velociraptor Blue. It's got these stripes down its side, and you can move the arms, the legs, and the tail on this figure. This is the basic Scorpius Rex figure. It's got the poisonous quills on its tail, and you can move the arms and legs on this figure too. Next up is the Pentaceratops figure. This figure is pretty close to a Triceratops, but it's got a huge frill on the front and a ton more horns too. You can use the action button to lift up its neck and to swing its torso around too. Here's a couple more medium-sized Velociraptor figures. This first one is a dark green with black stripes, and this other one is a lot brighter, and it actually has battle damage on its side as well. That's pretty cool. Plus, with this figure, you can use the tail to open and close the jaw. Here is a Triceratops figure with the clay red coloring and the brown on the top, and it's got one action button to lift up the head. This next figure, I believe, is the Spinosaurus. Also looks quite a bit like a Triceratops as well, but again, some big differences in the front. And with this figure, you can use the tail to control the head. Next up is the giant Quetzalcoatlus dinosaur. This winged dinosaur is from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie and has a few action buttons on it. The first action button you can press to flap its wings, and the second button activates its jaw. Here's a Dimetrodon figure with the light blue-gray coloring on the sides and the giant red spine on top. Check out these smaller dinosaurs. I think these are both called Proceratops. We've got one with the purple coloring and a little bit of yellow. The other one is light green with also some yellow coloring as well. This is a dark green and light green Sauropelta with those huge spikes coming out of its back. Here is a smaller carnivore dinosaur. This is a Herrerasaurus, and it's got an action button with its tail that opens and closes its jaw. Here is a Styracosaurus figure. It's got those two super bright circles right on the front and tons of horns around its head too. Here is the Shringosaurus figure. It's pretty odd looking. It's got the yellow body with the brown detailing on top and a super long neck and some horns at the very top. This is the Miragaia figure. It's got a dark body with some lighter coloring in the back and those two giant horns sticking out of its back too. Here's a smaller Triceratops figure with battle damage right on the side that you can open and close. This is a Stygimoloch figure with the dark brown coloring on the sides and some darker detailing along the top, plus an action button to activate the headbutting action. This is a Parasaurolophus figure. This is a newer one, I think from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the light tan body with some darker detailing right along the top. Here's another Pachycephalosaurus figure with a light tan body and the darker coloring along the top, and the action button on its tail to activate the headbutting. This is a baby Brachiosaurus figure. You can move the neck up and down as well as move the legs and open and close the jaw too. And here are two Gallimimus figures, one with a dark green coloring and one with the light tan and brown coloring along the top. We've got one more bin to go, but before we do, let's check out these brand new ones that I just bought, including this giant Dreadnoughtus figure. Let's open this one up first. All right, here is the Dreadnoughtus fully assembled. It's actually really hard to show even the whole thing on camera because it is so long. This neck is a lot longer than a Brachiosaurus, I think. Let's check out the head first. You can open and close its mouth. And you can move the neck back and forth. See that swivel right there? You can adjust the legs. And you can even move the tail back and forth too. This figure is ginormous, and it has some pretty cool coloring along the top and the sides as well. This next figure, I think, is pronounced the Rugops Primus figure. It's from the Ferocious Pack of Jurassic World Dominion. This is a pretty cool looking figure. It's got the dark green body with the black tail and the black detailing around its head. And you can move the legs, the arms, the neck, and the head as well. Next up is the Jurassic World Herrerasaurus figure. This figure has a lighter green body with some teal blue coloring along the top, while its face is that dark green color too. You can open and close the jaws manually, and you can move all the other limbs as well. Next is the Jurassic World Legacy Collection Dr. Ian Malcolm. Here is Dr. Ian Malcolm with his fiery torch, and it also came with this small dinosaur. I can't remember the name of this dinosaur, but it's a pretty cool set. And next, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Soundstrike Pteranodon. All right, let's unfold those wings. This is a pretty big dinosaur. It's probably a foot long from wingtip to wingtip, and it's got a few action buttons as well. The first one you can press to flap its wings and get some sound effects. And the second button activates its jaw. Now let's dig into this second bin. First off, we've got an Indominus Rex figure. This figure is huge and has the classic gray coloring that you can see in the movies. Over here is another Pteranodon figure, but this one I believe is from the Amber collection. So it's got rubbery wings and a whole lot more detail too. This is another huge Spinosaurus figure. This one has the green body with the light underbelly, but it's still got the red spine and the red detailing around its face too. In the back here, we've got a T-Rex figure with the camouflage coloring. That's pretty cool. And this T-Rex has two actions. You can pull up on its tail for a chomping action, or you can pull down on the tail for a roaring action. Here is a T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie. It's got a rubbery tail and a chomping action when you lift up its body. Here's another T-Rex figure with the gray and brown coloring on its body. It's very adjustable with its neck and its legs and its arms, and there's the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This is a Carcharodontosaurus figure with the blue coloring on the sides and the brighter detailing along its back. And it's got an action button on its back for the chomping. Next is a Stegosaurus figure with the gray-blue body and the lighter underbelly. And this figure has an action button that when you press down right here, it swings its tail back and forth. Watch out for those spikes. This is an Allosaurus figure with a slide lever action on the top, so you can get a bunch of different sound effects and different roaring poses too. Here is a Suchomimus figure with the blue body and the yellow detailing along the top. And this figure has one action button for the chomping. Here's one of my favorite dinosaurs, the Carnotaurus. This figure has the red coloring on the side and the dark purple on top with an action button to activate the jaw and the neck. This, I believe, is another Sinoceratops figure. It's got the light green body with some yellow detailing on its tail and on the front as well. And when you press down on the back of this figure, it lifts its head up. This is another Allosaurus figure with different coloring. It's got the gray body with the yellow detailing. You can move all of its limbs, and it has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. This is a Ceratosaurus figure with the gray coloring on the bottom and some brown and red all the way up to the top of its face. Here is one of my largest Endoraptor figures. This figure has a few different actions. First, there's a button on its tail to activate the arms. You can use the tail to swivel the torso around, and there's a button on the bottom of the tail to activate the jaw. Next up, we've got a huge Dilophosaurus figure with the bright red coloring and the even brighter frills in the front. This is a pretty basic figure though, so you can't do too much with it. You can move the arms and legs and the tail a little bit. Here is the Iguanodon figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the light tan body with some lighter striping along the top. And when you press down on this Iguanodon, it lifts its head up and down. Next up is a Cryolophosaurus figure. This figure has some darker coloring along its body. It's also got some brighter red detailing all the way up to the crown on the top of its head. And you can use the tail to swing the neck back and forth too. Way over here, I believe this dinosaur is called the Kentrosaurus. It looks kind of like a Stegosaurus, but it's got these huge spikes coming out of its side. And this figure has a slide lever action on its back to swing those spikes back and forth. Here is a Triceratops figure in the brown and blue coloring. Plus, you can use the tail on this dinosaur to control the neck. All right, we've got a Baryonyx figure in here. This one has the light brown and the dark gray-blue coloring. And there's an action button on its back to activate its jaws. We've got another Baryonyx figure in here, but this one is super bright. It's got the bright green coloring along its side and bottom, and the brown along the top, plus that action button to activate its jaw too. Here's a pretty rare dinosaur. This is the Edmontosaurus. It's got some pretty cool coloring along its body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. Next up, we've got a Velociraptor from the Amber collection. This one is the bright orange and brown Velociraptor, and it is super posable. Here is an older Ankylosaurus figure. This one is actually a hybrid, and it has special armor plating that you can take on and off. Plus, it has an action button that when you move this leg, it swings its tail back and forth and moves its head too. I've got a few mini T-Rex figures in here. These are also older figures from the first Jurassic World movie. They're both pretty identical, but with different coloring, and they both have the action where you can move its jaw and its neck by moving the tail around. Looks like I've got some more Velociraptor figures in here. Check out this one. This one is dark blue, but it has the yellow and gold coloring along the top of its head. I've also got these green Velociraptors too. This one is in the sneaking pose, and this one has some really cool detailing along the top of its body. These two figures are both Dilophosaurus figures. This one is the newer figure and is a bit smaller, but it does have an action button on its tail to activate the frills and open the jaw in the front, which is pretty cool. And this older Dilophosaurus figure, I believe from the first Jurassic World movie, it's a bit bigger, has battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to move its neck. Here's another Stegosaurus figure. This one has the brown, tan, and green coloring, and it also has an action button that when you press down right here, it swings its tail back and forth. Looks like I've got 3 more Ankylosaurus figures, all with different coloring. This first one is brown and has the green and gray coloring on the top, plus with an action button to swing its tail. This next Ankylosaurus has the clay red underside with the tan and brown on top. And this third Ankylosaurus has the yellow coloring on the bottom with the green and gray on top, and a slide lever action to swing the tail back and forth. Here is another Dilophosaurus figure from the first Jurassic World movie, and this figure is super bright. Plus, it has the action on its tail to move its neck up and down. Here's another giant Stegosaurus figure. This one has a softer green-blue coloring, and it has the action button that you press down to swing its tail back and forth. Here's another Stegosaurus figure, but this one has the gray, brown, tan, and green coloring all over its body. And this one actually has 2 action buttons. The first one moves its head up and down, and the second one swings the tail back and forth. This is a Parasaurolophus figure with the light yellow coloring and the brown stripes, and it's got 2 action buttons. The first moves its head up and down, and the second swings its tail back and forth. We've got some more Velociraptor and Atrociraptor figures in here. First, we've got another Velociraptor blue figure. We've also got this purple and red Velociraptor. And we've got 2 Atrociraptor figures as well. We've got one that's tan and in the crawling pose, and we've got a bright orange-red one with the white striping. Next up, we've got a Sauropelta figure in the clay red color that can swing back and forth, so you better watch out for those spikes. We've also got this Moros Intrepidus figure with the light green coloring and the orange on its tail too. Here's another small Indominus Rex figure. This one also has the battle damage on its side, and you can use the tail to control its jaw and its neck too. This is another Stygimoloch figure. This one does not have any action buttons, but you can move its legs, its arms, and its head around too. And here is also another baby Brachiosaurus figure. This one, though, has the gray and purple coloring right along the top. And last of all is this Herrerasaurus figure with the dark blue coloring and the lighter detailing on its back and all the way up to its head, too.
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we're checking out a huge collection of Tyrannosaurus Rex versus Indominus Rex.
First up, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex. This figure has a dark brown side and black top with the lighter underbelly, and it's got adjustable arms, legs, and a tail. And up front, I can tell that the plastic is a bit softer on its neck. The rest of its head is a hard plastic, and you can open it up way wide, and you're able to actually swallow smaller dinosaurs down to the stomach compartment. That's pretty cool. Next up, we've got another super colossal figure. This is an Indominus Rex. It has the classic light gray body, and is pretty detailed with all the spikes and the spines. It's got some spines up there, it's got some behind its elbows, it's got those super long claws on its hand. And just like the T-Rex, you can adjust the arms, the legs, and swing the tail around. But on this figure, you can also twist the neck too. Here is the next figure. It's another super colossal Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one has the light orange body with a lighter underbelly. And just like the Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex, the neck is actually a little bit softer. It's like a softer plastic right there. And you can move the arms, the legs, the tail, just like the other ones. And of course, this one has the stomach compartment for eating smaller dinosaurs. And we've got some brand new figures that we can open up first before we dive into the rest of them. This one is the PNSO Wilson, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is super detailed. Look at all that texturing on its body, all the various shades of colors. It's like lighter right here, there's darker shades. These are a lot more detailed than a lot of the Jurassic World figurines. But unfortunately, they're not as posable. Usually you can only move their jaw. All right, let's dig in. This first Tyrannosaurus Rex is the Battle Damage Edition. It has the light orange body. You can see that there's scrapes and slashes all over its body, even on its face and nose. And it has a fully posable body, plus the button at the top of the head for chomping. Over here, we've got an Indominus Rex, the Extreme Battle Damage Edition. With this one, you can actually turn the battle damage on and off. That's so cool. Each time that you press that button, it delivers a roar sound effect too. On the rest of the figure, the arms and the legs are fully adjustable, and there's a button at the tail that controls the jaw. Here we've got the epic Roarin' Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is light brown on the sides, dark brown on top, and the lighter underbelly. And the coolest part is the roar and shaking sound effects. Over here is the Jurassic World Chompin' Indominus Rex. This is a bit of an older figure. It's got the hard plastic on the back and the rubber on the neck and head. You don't see that too often nowadays. And for the chomping action, you pull down on the arms to open and close its mouth. I believe this figure is the Bite and Fight Tyrannosaurus Rex. As you can tell by the name, it has one big special feature. Press this button on its back and it does a tearing action. Swings its head around and closes its mouth real fast. And there is also a secondary button that swings its tail back and forth. I believe this figure is the Destroy and Devour Indominus Rex, but you'll notice that it has some custom coloring. So this definitely does not look like your typical Indominus Rex. And this figure really pops out on my display shelves. My favorite part being those green eyes right there. Next up is the Stomp and Escape Tyrannosaurus Rex. As you can tell by the name, it has two features. The first, when you press this button on its back, it'll escape from its face cage. Just like that. And the second feature is Stompin'. When you twist the tail, it stomps its feet up and down. Comes with sound effects too. Here we have a classically colored Destroy and Devour Indominus Rex. This figure is pretty detailed over its body. It's got tons of spikes on its back. It's got those spines right along its neck. It's got some unique coloring along its eyes, right next to those orange eyes. And this figure has a few different features. First, when you bend the legs forward, it'll actually point its head down. And when you bend them back, it'll point its head upwards. Secondly, there's a button on its back that's used for slashing. And finally, there's a button on its tail for the chomping and roaring. Here is an Extreme Battle Damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is pretty posable. You're able to move the arms, the legs, and swing the tail around, as well as adjust the neck and open and shut the jaw by hand. But the coolest part is the battle damage that you can turn on and off, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw earlier. And you can see it on both sides. Next up, we've got the extreme chomping Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure has a more gray-brown coloring on the sides with a darker brown on top and the light underbelly, and is adjustable just like many of the other figures. And it has the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. Here is another Indominus Rex, but this does not look normal. This is a hybrid Indominus Rex. So this one has some pretty awesome and unique coloring along its body. It's the only Indominus Rex to have red on its body, I believe, as well as the gold on its arms and its belly. And this dinosaur has a few features. First is a hidden button that activates its spikes on its back. Secondly is the chomping action, which you activate by moving its arm. Here we have, I believe, another extreme chomping Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one though has the orange body with the brown coloring on the top with the lighter underbelly, and of course that chomping button right on the top of its head. This is the Stomp and Chomp Tyrannosaurus Rex. It has the typical orange body with the brown top and lighter underbelly. And what I really like about this figure is that you use the tail to control the head and the whole front of the body for chomping and for roaring too. Here we've got a model Indominus Rex, which I don't see that many of. But what I like about these models is that they're so much more intricately colored and textured. Check out those spikes on its back. They're so small on all those little spines and all those little horn things right along its back all the way to its tail. And just like many other model figures, you can't adjust the arms and legs. Only the mouth can open and close in these. But these sure look epic on a display shelf. Next up is the Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is one of the few Tyrannosauruses that I have that are this cool green color with the black detailing on the top. It has that same button on the top of its head for chomping. And this T-Rex actually came with a baby T-Rex in the same pack. So these came together. Here is a smaller Indominus Rex figure with a battle damage on the side that you can open and close. And while most of its body is that iconic gray color, it does have some gray-green coloring along the top, which is different from most of my other Indominus Rex figures. Plus, this figure comes with a chomping action when you move the tail. Way at the bottom here, I've actually got the T-Rex anatomy kit. Now I am missing a few pieces to it. It's really easy to misplace these, but it's really cool that you can take this apart to check out all the different body parts within. You can take the ribs out, you can see this muscle on its tail and the bone behind it, and you can even take apart this foot right here and see what's underneath. How cool is that? This is the Bashers and Biters Indominus Rex figure. This is from the old Jurassic World toy line, and it has similar coloring to the rest of them, a little bit darker gray on top, got the battle damage on the side, and of course you can move the tail to control the face. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex figure, but I believe it is a juvenile or even a baby T-Rex. You can see it's got the mouth restraint on, because the humans are actually healing its leg. It's got a broken leg, so it's got this bandage around it. And this figure is very adjustable too. You can move all the limbs, even at the elbows. And of course you can move the tail and twist the head around and even open and close the mouth. This is the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex. This is a lot smaller than most of the Indominus Rex figures, but it has quite a large face to it. And it has a few features. The first is when you press this button on its nose, get some sound effects. And the second is when you move the tail, it opens its mouth to eat, and then you can press down on its tongue to clamp shut its jaw. And last of all, I've got a few small figures in here. Got a Lego Indominus Rex figure, which is pretty cool. It's the only Lego figure that I have in this bin, at least. We've also got some miniature Tyrannosaurus Rex figures from Jurassic World. This one is green with a light underbelly, and the second one here is brown with a light underbelly as well. And I also have these two Indominus Rexes in this bin. The first one is white with silver, reflective silver on its top, and you can open and close the jaw. And the second one is a clear Indominus Rex. You can't move any parts on this figure, but I think it's pretty cool that it's see-through. Today, we're checking out a bunch of dinosaur figures from my collection that have special features, whether it's sound effects, extreme battle damage, or action buttons. So let's actually get started with these brand new Jurassic World Dominion figures. First, let's check out the Dimetrodon. This is a pretty small figure, but its legs and its neck moves, and you can open and close the jaw. And the biggest feature is the battle damage on the side that you open and close by pressing right here. That's really cool. I do love these battle damage features. This is a really cool way to be able to turn it on and off like that. Next up, let's check out the Coelurus Extreme Damage. This figure is also pretty small, but you can adjust the legs, the arms, the neck, and the mouth as well. And of course, the extreme battle damage feature right on its stomach. That is pretty cool. Next up, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Velociraptor Extreme Damage Edition. This Velociraptor has some pretty cool coloring. I like the white and then the dark blue on top. This figure is also very adjustable. You can move the arms, legs, neck, and you can twist the tail around too. And of course, there's that battle damage feature on its side. That is really cool. I've got one more brand new figure to check out. This is the Camp Cretaceous Allosaurus. Let's see what features this has. All right, this is a medium-sized figure, and you can see that the action is a slide action lever. So this activates the sound effects and moves the jaw as well. That's pretty cool. So you can see that there are 3 different sound effects and 3 different levels that you can open the mouth. Check out that dark tongue too. That's pretty unique. Next up, we've got a bright yellow, pink, and purple Parasaurolophus. Let's see what features this has. That's pretty cool. So this has sound effects as well as a tail feature that controls the face. Over here is another Allosaurus with different coloring, but you'll see that it has the same lever slide action. So it has 3 sound effects and 3 different levels of opening the mouth. I'm pretty sure those are the same sound effects as the other one, but this is still a pretty cool figure. Here we've got one of the new Jurassic World Dominion T-Rexes. Let's see what features this has. It's got a button on its tail. Uh-oh, I think the sound effects on this one aren't working quite properly, but it does have a roar sound effect, and it also has a sound effect for when you move its tail to control its face. Right here, we've got a classic Jurassic World Indominus Rex. Oh, look at that. There's some sound effects already. So when you pull down on the arms, it opens the mouth and roars too. It's kind of hard to see in the light, but its back actually lights up. Next up, a new dinosaur from Jurassic World Dominion. I believe this is the Rajasaurus. It's got the brown body. Let's see what actions this has. That is really cool. So it's got a couple sound effects, and when you press down on its body, it has the chomping action. Here we've got an interesting looking dinosaur. I'm actually not sure what type of dinosaur this is, but it is a super bright one. It's got the blue on the bottom and red all over the top, and then the bright red and yellow on its face. And it's got some sound effects too. You can see that there's a little battle damage right there. You can press down. And when you move the legs, it flaps its wings. You can hear that sound effect for flapping its wings too.
This, I believe, is a Majingasaurus. This is a smaller figure, but it is quite loud. You can see it has a ton of different sound effects already coming from it. Over here, we've got this super special, I believe it's a hybrid Indominus Rex. Let's see what features this has. I believe first when you pull down on the arm, that's really cool. So it is a battery operated chomping and it has sound effects at the same time. I think this has actually another feature too. There's a hidden button right here that shoots out some spikes. And there's more sound effects too. Up front here, we've got a super unique looking dinosaur. This is the Scorpius Rex. Let's see what sound effects and special features this has. It's got some sound effects, it's got a jaw chomping action, it's got a claw slashing action with different sound effects too. And it's actually got a tail swiping action too. There's no sound effects for this movement though. Here is another giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's see what features this has. See, there's a button on the tail, plus the tail swivels back and forth to control the head. That's cool. It's got a motor in it that moves the head back and forth. Plus, there's sound effects. This is a Baryonyx, and I believe it comes with sound effects. We've got that slide lever action again. Let's hear what sounds it has. That's cool. So 3 different sound effects for 3 different levels. Right in the back here, we've got a huge Indominus Rex with battle damage. Let's see this in action. That's really cool. So it's got some sound effects to go with the battle damage. Plus, there's a button on the tail for the roaring. Here we've got a pretty cool looking herbivore. This is an Ouranosaurus. It's got a pretty adjustable body, and the special feature is the action slide on its side. So we've got quite a few different sound effects for this dinosaur, and it has multiple spots for moving the head too. Right in the middle here, we've got a huge T-Rex with some pretty unique coloring. It's kind of camouflage colored, but let's check out the special effects of this dinosaur. First, you can see that there's a button on its foot so that when it's walking around, it has stomp sound effects. Plus, with the tail, you can control the face for chomping and roaring. Here is an old Jurassic World Velociraptor. This Velociraptor has a chomping action. It's got some sound effects with it. Plus, it's got a battle damage button that lights up when you press it. Next up, we've got an Ankylosaurus. I think we actually have another Ankylosaurus in here. Both are a bit different though. This one has a slide lever action. For this dinosaur, there's quite a few different sound effects for when you activate the lever. On this Ankylosaurus, there is just one button on its back for swinging the tail back and forth. Over here is an older Jurassic World figure, and it actually has a few special features. The first is with its feet. It has a sound effect for stomping up and down. But the biggest feature is when you cock the head back so it's in the roaring position, and then you release it downwards for a chomping. Up next, from the Jurassic World Dominion movie, is the Therizinosaurus. Let's check out those huge claws and the special features on this dinosaur. It's got some sound effects when you move the tail, and a different sound effect for the chomping. Here we've got a little Carnotaurus. This dinosaur has a few different features. The first is a button on the top for blinking the eyes. And the second is a trigger on its tail for chomping. Oh, right here's another Carnotaurus. This is a medium-sized figure with darker coloring. And this Carnotaurus has an action button on its tail for the chomping and sound effects. Here we've got a huge herbivore. This is a Sinoceratops. Let's check out the special features on this dinosaur. So you can move its head all around, and it comes with the sound effects for when you move it too. In the back here, we've got a Ceratosaurus that's brown and orange in color. Let's check out the special features. That's pretty cool. It's got a few different sound effects. This is an Indominus Rex. This is a pretty cute little figure, but let's see what special features it has. You can see there's a button on its nose right up here. And there's actually a button on its tongue. Plus, you can move the tail around to open and close the jaw. This is the Irritator. Let's see what special effects this has. You can already tell there's a ton of sound effects, and the tail actually controls the head too. This is a good old Triceratops. With this Triceratops, you can use the tail to control the head, and it comes with a bunch of sound effects too. This is a Cryolophosaurus. You can hear a hissing sound as one of the sound effects, which is pretty cool. That's really unique. This dinosaur is an Edmontosaurus. It's got some pretty unique coloring, and as you can already hear, it's got plenty of sound effects. Next up, this is a super intimidating looking dinosaur. This is a Kentrosaurus. Let's see this slide lever in action. That's pretty cool. So the slide lever activates the spikes for slashing back and forth. And last but not least, a good old Baryonyx. Let's see the special effects of this dinosaur. Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out this massive collection of predator dinosaurs. And we're gonna start off with these brand new figures right here. Let's go ahead and start with this one. This is the Soundstrike Irritator. Let's go ahead and open it up. All right, this is a really cool looking dinosaur. Check out that super tall spine along its back. It's got light blue and dark blue along its back, all the way up to its neck. This dinosaur has two actions. First, a thrashing action with the tail and the head. The second is a chomping action with the tail, moves the head up and down. That is super cool, and I love the sound effects on this one too. Next up, we've got a Jurassic World Dominion Pyroraptor. Let's check it out. Alright, this is actually the first Pyroraptor of my collection, so I'm super excited to check it out. Most of its body is a clay red color. It's got some brighter red right on the top here, and then the back side of it is a black color. On this figure, the tail moves, the legs move, you can twist the ankles too, as well as the arms. But the jaw doesn't open and close on this one. Overall, this figure looks pretty cool. Next up, we've got a Jurassic World Dominion Atrociraptor. Let's open it up. All right, so this Atrociraptor is basically the exact same size as the Pyroraptor, and it looks pretty cool, it looks pretty ferocious. Its body's all white, except for those black-brown stripes. It's got those red eyes right there. And just like the Pyroraptor, you can move the tail, the legs, and the arms, but the jaw and the head doesn't move at all. Next up, we've got this old Jurassic World Special Edition Indominus Rex. Look at all the crazy coloring on this Indominus Rex. That is really cool. That is really cool. And it's got a button right here that launches the spikes out. Next up, we've got a super detailed Giganotosaurus. This is a super cool model because look at the attention to detail all over its body. See, it's got the green eyes, it's got tons of teeth, and those actually look pretty sharp. And the skin all over its body looks super realistic and textured. That is really cool. The only part that moves on this dinosaur though is the jaw. Here we've got a super old Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is from the Jurassic Park line. Its body is all green and orange right up to the head. And this T-Rex can actually eat miniature dinosaurs too. It has a tunnel that goes all the way down to its stomach, and you can get the miniature dinosaurs out right here. How cool is that? Here we've got another Indominus Rex. This one is normally colored, as you can see, and is one of the older Jurassic World dinosaurs. This figure is pretty big. It's probably about 2 feet long, and it comes with some actions. When you pull down on the arm, it opens and closes its mouth. And you can move the legs, and check it out. Its whole head and neck is super rubbery, and the rest of its body is a hard plastic. Right up top here, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex with battle damage that you can turn on and off. Just like that, with a click of a button. That is super cool, and the rest of the figure is fully posable as well, with the tail, the legs, the ankles, the arms, the neck, and the mouth. Next up, we've got a custom colored Indominus Rex. Look at how differently this one looks. It's got the bright blue on the underbelly, leads up to the purple on the sides, and then that orange detailing right along the black. And check out all those spikes and those green eyes too. This is a really cool custom colored dinosaur. Here is another Indominus Rex. This one has battle damage, just like that T-Rex we saw earlier, that you can turn on and off. That is so cool, and this figure is fully posable as well. Here we've got a super colorful Velociraptor. This dinosaur is super posable. You can move basically every joint in its body, and it's got that awesome green-blue coloring along its whole body with all that gray detailing throughout. Next up, we've got a bright predator called the Majungasaurus. This dinosaur has some teeny tiny little arms up front. It's got a big tail with spikes on the underside and some blue and yellow detailing right on the top and on its face. Here is a totally different colored predator. This is the Rajasaurus. It's got a brown body and a gray-blue detailing along the top. It's got those spines right along its neck and a little horn right on the top of its head. Here is a Carnotaurus. It's got a clay red body with a darker brown along the top. You can move the arms and the legs and the tail. And the tail actually controls the head, so you can move it around. Here we've got a ferocious beast from the Jurassic World movies. This is a Scorpius Rex. It's got an all black body with a yellow underbelly. And this dinosaur has 2 actions. First is with the jaw, and the second is a slashing action with this button. Here, we've got another T-Rex, but this is a hybrid T-Rex because it's got those huge spines on its back that you can actually close and hide. And then when you press this button on its back, they'll pop out. That is super cool. And super interesting coloring on this too. It's green with gold on the top and the bottom, and it's got this interesting pattern right along its side. Here is a medium-sized Spinosaurus. This one is all green except for the white and red along its spine and the red right around its eyes too. This is a medium-sized Velociraptor. It can move its legs and its arms, but you can't close its mouth. Its body is mostly brown with gray striping along the top. Here is another T-Rex, but totally different colored. You can see that this dinosaur is from the older Jurassic World toy series. Its body is all tan with a slightly lighter underbelly, and it's got an action button on the top that controls the jaw.
This is the Albertosaurus with the all green body and battle damage. With this battle damage, you can open it up and you can actually pull down the ribs or push them back up to reveal the stomach inside, and it's actually a little squishy. Plus, it's got some battle damage right here too. This is an Indominus Rex and super detailed. This thing has more spikes than many of the other Indominus Rexes that I have. That's really cool. And the only thing that moves in this model is the mouth. This is a Suchomimus. It's all yellow and brown, and it comes with 2 action buttons. One that controls the face, and one that controls the tail. Right over here, we've got a model of an Endoraptor. It's an all black body with the yellow and orange detailing on the sides and all along its spikes right there. That is really cool. And it's in a crouching position as if it's sneaking along. That's so awesome. This is a Ceratosaurus. It's got a gray underbelly and red and black detailing on the tops and sides. Check out that horn right up top too. This predator is a Baryonyx. It's got a brown body with a dark gray detailing on the top and bright orange accenting right on top of its head. This, I believe, is another Ceratosaurus, but this one is a dark green with black accenting along the top. You can see it's got a bunch of bumps right along the top of its body too. This Ceratosaurus has a slide action, so you can actually get a few different roars from it. Here is another medium-sized Velociraptor. This one, though, is a tan color with green striping along the top, and you can move the arms and legs, but the mouth is stuck open just like that. Here is a medium-sized Tyrannosaurus Rex model, and look at all the shading and detail to its body too. I really like this one because of how cool it looks with the clay red coloring alongside the black. This is a Cryolophosaurus. It's got an all yellow body with brown detailing on the top and that bright orange right on the top of its head. Plus, with this dinosaur, you can move the tail to control the head. Here is a giant winged predator. This is a Pteranodon. It's got an all blue underbelly and the bottom of its wings, and on the top, it's got a dark red with some white accenting on its wings. Next up, we've got an Allosaurus. Check out the yellow underbelly and the blue detailing on its legs and the top of its body and its face. And this Allosaurus has 2 action buttons. The first controls the jaw and the second controls the arms. We've got another old Jurassic World toy series Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I believe this one has custom coloring. It's got an all red body with black spots, a yellow underbelly, and yellow eyes. Here is another Carnotaurus, but this one is smaller than the other figures we've seen, and it's actually a little bit rubbery. You can actually kind of bend the legs a little bit, but it's still got those 2 giant horns on its head. Right over here, we've got a few more Indominus Rexes. They're a little differently sized, and they're both from the old Jurassic World toy lines. Both of them have battle damage. This one is always visible, but on this figure, you can actually hide the battle damage. And they both come with an action that when you move down the tail, they jump. Right over here, we've got a super brightly colored Dilophosaurus. Check out the bright blue along its body, and in the very front, super bright yellow and red. This dinosaur is a Metriacanthosaurus, and it's got a yellow-green color on the underbelly and on the sides, and on the very top is a darker green. Plus, there's an action button that controls the jaw. Right over here is a smaller dinosaur. This is a Masiakasaurus. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. And it has an all green body with brighter green right along the top, plus an action button to control the head and the neck. Here we've got another Endoraptor. This Endoraptor is all black aside from the detailing right along the side. And you can control the arms, the legs, and the tail, but there's no button to open and close the jaw. This is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Check it out, it's got the black stripes right along its body. Its torso is actually pretty big, and this figure is standing in a roaring pose, just like that. This is a Carnotaurus from the new Jurassic World Dominion toy line. You can see that one of the horns is broken off, just like in the movie. And you can move its legs, its arms, its neck, and its head. Here is a super interesting looking dinosaur. It looks like it has feathers all over its body. I think it might be a T-Rex, but I can't quite tell. But how crazy is that? Look at those feathers right along the top of its head too. Here is a smaller Ceratosaurus. This is an older Jurassic World toy, and it's got battle damage right there on the side too. I think it's out of batteries, but normally it would light up. Plus, when you pull down on the tail, it opens and closes its jaw. Ooh, here's another old Jurassic World toy. I actually can't tell what type of dinosaur this is. Maybe an Allosaurus, I can't tell. But it's got a little bit of damage on the side and super brightly colored. It's got that yellow and red all along its body. Here are a few more Velociraptors, and look at the size difference too. This is an older Jurassic World Velociraptor, and this is a newer one. This one is dark brown with gray stripes along the top and battle damage, and you can actually control the tail to move the mouth. And on this Velociraptor, it's a lot smaller, but just as adjustable. You can even open and close the mouth by hand. All right, another model Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one is a dark green color and is in that roaring pose too. Check it out. Here are some interesting looking dinosaurs. I believe this one is a Herrerasaurus. And this dinosaur is fully adjustable with the legs, the arms, the neck, and the mouth too. And this dinosaur is from the old Jurassic Park toy line. I actually can't quite tell what type of dinosaur this is. I'm unfamiliar with this one. Up next, I bet you recognize this from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is a Dimetrodon. It's got that bright orange accenting right along its spine and the yellow along its body. And this front arm right here controls its mouth. We've got a few more T-Rexes in here. This is another model T-Rex, a bit smaller than the others. It's got a yellow underbelly and brown and black top. It's got those red eyes too. And these other T-Rexes are from the old Jurassic World toy line. Check out this bright orange one. This is actually a hybrid dinosaur. It's got gold right along the top with the black stripes. Plus, it's got an action that when you move the tail, it controls its face. Same with this T-Rex too. This T-Rex though is bright green with battle damage on the side. And when you control the tail, the mouth moves. Next up, we've got a new dinosaur from the Jurassic World Dominion movies. This is an Atrociraptor. It's in that sneaking pose. It's crawling close to the ground. We've got another super brightly colored Dilophosaurus. Check out that bright green along its body and the orange right along the top. And the final dinosaur of the bin is a Monolophosaurus with battle damage on the side that you can open and close. This Monolophosaurus is also fully adjustable with the legs, the arms, the neck, and the mouth. Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.